What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our Pac12 football channel. And it's time for our 2019 college football schedule preview for the Oregon Ducks. You see their schedule here on your screen. It was a pretty good year in 2018. They finished 9-4, got the bowl win. They were close, though. They were close in several games to breaking through and maybe even getting to the Pac12 championship game, and then they would have won it as well. So, I mean, I'm telling you, this team was really, really close to breaking through in 2018. You flip to 2019, and they bring a whole lot back, including, of course, starting quarterback Justin Herbert. So, yes, this team with very high expectations. I had them in the top 10 of my way too early top 25 poll. Also, a big-time recruiting class coming in. I don't read too much into that. I know a lot of you guys out there are always talking about, oh, this team's going to be great. Look at their recruiting class. Most of those freshmen are not going to make big impacts year one. I mean, this doesn't happen. You're going to have a few guys that might have an impact, but most of them, it's going to take at least one season before they make that big of an impact. But there are some big-time players there, and with what they had coming back, I just think Oregon is going to be very good in 2019. That opener is going to be big against Auburn in Arlington. If they lose that game, I think that, honestly, I think that wipes away any hopes of the Pac-12 of getting to the college football playoffs. That one game. I said the same thing about it last year with Washington against Auburn. Interesting that Auburn could play spoiler for the Pac-12 2 years in a row. Even if Oregon wins the rest of their games, you know, you could go back to that game and say, well, yeah, they beat all these Pac-12 teams, but look, they couldn't beat an SEC team, and Auburn may finish, you know, they may be the fourth or fifth best team in the SEC possibly. And so I just think the perception of the Pac-12, a lot is riding on that one game. I'm not saying they have no chance of getting to the playoffs if they lose that game. I just think they take a major hit. And I don't know if they can run the table and win the rest of their games anyways. You look at the schedule, a couple of easy games after that, but then it's Stanford on the road, Cal and Colorado at home, on the road at Washington, Washington State at USC, a USC team that's going to be better, Arizona at Arizona State and Oregon State. I think the toughest test will be those road games against Stanford, Washington, and USC. To me, those are going to be three really tough games on the road, and then, of course, that game against Auburn. So, yeah, it's not too bad of a schedule, but you'd like to maybe have Washington and Stanford, at least one of those games at home, because those could be the games that determine the Pac-12 North. Washington State, at least they get them at home. We'll see how good that team is. But if you look for the easy wins, I think you can give them Nevada and Montana. Nevada's not a bad Group of 5 team, but I don't really think they're going to be able to compete with a team like Oregon. So I think you can give them those wins. And, again, nothing is automatic in college football or sports in general, but those are close to automatic wins. So those games, I think you say, yes, Oregon wins. And then you look for games that they should win. You feel like, you know, it could be a 2-touchdown game, could even be a close game, but Oregon should come out on top. And for those games, I think you can add 3 more. You got California and Colorado, both at home. Both teams, I think, could be pretty good, but I don't know that they're going to be good enough to go into Eugene. And then Oregon State, another home game. That could have almost been a green to begin with, but I think Oregon State's going to be a little better this year. So that gives you 5 wins. They should win these 5 games, you would think. Then you look at the rest of the schedule. You have 7 games left. You'd like to think that they would at least win 4 of those 7 games. With Washington State and Arizona both being at home, I like Oregon in those games. Arizona State I don't think is going to be quite as good. It's a road game, but you would think they'd win that game. And then it comes down to Auburn, Stanford, Washington, and USC. I think worst case scenario, Oregon wins 1 of those 4 games. They're going to at least win 1 of those games. And I think best case scenario, they win 3 of those 4 games. So I don't see Oregon running the table. I don't think that they're going to go undefeated with this schedule with, again, Stanford, Washington, and USC on the road, plus that Auburn game. So I'm going to say best case scenario is 11-1. Worst case scenario, 9-3. So somewhere right in there. And again, when I show you these projected wins, just to clear up any confusion, that's just regular season projections. I'm not including a Pac-12 championship game or a bowl game or even potentially the playoffs when I give you that number. That's just looking at the 12 regular season games. So hopefully everyone understands that. So yeah, I think between 9 and 11 wins for this team. Like I said, it's Auburn, Stanford, Washington, and USC. Sure, they could slip up against Washington State or Arizona State on the road, but I don't really see that happening. I think it's a 4-game season for Oregon. You win 3 of those 4, you're in the Pac-12 championship most likely and could have a chance to play for the college football playoffs. You lose 2, it's not going to happen. So a lot of pressure on this Oregon team in those 4 games. And again, it all starts with that opener against Auburn. If they can win that game, that will set the tone for their season. And I think they have a shot. They have a shot to get to the playoffs if they finish 11-1 where they lost to, say, Washington on the road, but Washington loses 2 games and Oregon goes to the Pac-12 championship and wins it. Yes, I think Oregon could definitely make a case for the college football playoffs, but they really need that win against Auburn. They lose to Auburn, win the rest of their games, and sit there with 1 loss, Pac-12 champs. I think it's a tougher argument to make when you lost to again, the 4th, 5th, 6th best team out of the SEC. Now, if Auburn finishes with 10 wins and they're a top 10, top 15 team, then yeah, that'd be fine. Oregon would definitely still have a chance to get the playoffs. But if Auburn does what they did last year, they finish maybe outside the top 25, then I think that game could hurt Oregon. So that's going to be a fun one. One of the top 2 or 3 games to open up the season in the non-conference. Really looking forward to that. Thank you for watching this video. If you're a Pac-12 football fan, please subscribe to the channel. Leave us your thoughts down in the comments below. And for the latest in Pac-12 football, keep it right here.